Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking complex anatomy and turning it into clear visual insights. Think about the human body for a second. It's not just a solid block of tissue, right? It's actually this incredibly designed landscape of hidden structures and internal vaults. And right now, we are setting the stage for a journey straight into the absolute most secure of these biological vaults.
So ask yourself, where does your body's central computer actually live? I mean, we all know we have a brain and a spinal cord, but how are they housed inside of us so they can survive a literal lifetime of movement, sudden impacts, and even just gravity? Okay, let's dive right into this.
Section 1. The body's hidden compartments. To start, we need to define what a body cavity actually is. Basically, it's a fluid-filled space or compartment in the animal body that houses, protects, and suspends vital internal organs, allowing them to function. This is totally foundational. As we just mentioned, our body isn't solid all the way through. We have these internal cavities that keep our really delicate organs safe from the outside world while simultaneously giving them the physical room they actually need to do their jobs. Whether that's a lung expanding to take in air or a stomach churning to digest food, they need space.
Section 2. Ventral versus dorsal cavities.
Now, there is a pretty stark contrast between the two major spaces in our bodies. On one hand, we have the ventral cavity. That's located in the front of your body. It's large, and crucially, it's very flexible. And it has to be, right? It houses expanding organs like your lungs, your heart, and your stomach. So you can kind of think of it like a flexible tent. But on the flip side, we have the dorsal cavity, which is located in the back. This space is narrow, it's continuous, and it is highly rigid for absolute protection. So it's much less of a tent and way more of a lockdown vault.
Section 3. Exploring the dorsal cavity.
Before we get into exactly what's inside this vault, let's get our bearings with some medical terms. Actually, do me a favor. Reach back and touch the back of your head and your spine right now. Okay, so dorsal or posterior simply means toward the back. Superior or cranial means toward the head end. And inferior or caudal means away from the head or lower down. When you trace that line from the back of your head down your spine, you are quite literally tracing the dorsal, cranial, and caudal lines of your own body. Kind of helps ground the jargon in a tangible way, doesn't it?
So the absolute most crucial point here is this. The dorsal cavity is primarily responsible for housing and protecting the central nervous system. That is its one ultimate job. It doesn't digest your food, it doesn't pump your blood. It serves as this dedicated, heavily fortified sanctuary for the incredibly fragile, vital wiring that controls absolutely everything you do.
Moving on to Section 4. Cranial and spinal subdivisions.
The dorsal cavity is basically structured into two distinct but intimately connected sections. First, the cranial cavity. This is located up in the skull and houses the brain, along with the pituitary and pineal glands. It's this large, sort of bean-shaped space in the upper part of the skull. Below that, we have the spinal or vertebral cavity. This one is located within the vertebral column and holds the spinal cord. Unlike the cranial space, this is a very narrow, thread-like space that runs all the way down your back.
Now, what's really interesting about this anatomy is the concept of continuity. Your brain and spinal cord actually make up a continuous, uninterrupted structure, and so do the cavities that house them. There is literally no physical wall or membrane separating your brain from your spinal cord inside this vault. It's just one seamless environment from the top of your head all the way down to your lower back.
Section 5. The ultimate biological fortress.
To pull off this level of protection, the dorsal cavity utilizes a brilliant three-step defense system. Step 1 is the bony armor. We're talking about the thick bone of the skull and the interlocking vertebrae of the spine. Step 2 is a membranous lining, known as the meninges. And Step 3 is shock absorption, which is provided by cerebrospinal fluid. These three layers work together in total harmony to protect your wiring against physical impacts and dangerous infections.
Let's look a little closer at that membranous lining, the meninges. These are three distinct layers of protective membranes: the dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater. Think of these unique membranes as the inner lining of our biological fortress. If the skull and the spine are the thick concrete walls, well, the meninges are the highly specialized, multi-layered wallpaper that throws up an extra defensive barrier for the super delicate tissues of your central nervous system. And finally, the shock absorption. Cerebrospinal fluid is a colorless fluid produced by the brain, and its job is to cushion the brain and spinal cord within the dorsal body cavity. Now, why does this matter so much?
because even with the absolute hardest bone and the toughest membrane surrounding it, your brain and spinal cord are still incredibly soft. Without this fluid suspension, just the simple daily shocks and bumps of being human, walking, jumping, turning your head to look at something, would cause massive, irreparable damage. This fluid ensures that your central nervous system essentially floats safely inside its fortress.
Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. How does a single, continuous, heavily armored cavity allow your brain to seamlessly communicate with the very tips of your toes? Think about it. If it's so completely locked down behind bone, membrane, and fluid, how does the wiring actually get out to the rest of the body? It's a true testament to the mind-blowing architecture of our anatomy. It's something that should honestly leave you in absolute awe of that biological vault sitting right there in your back. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me today, and I really hope you leave wanting to explore even more of the body's hidden wonders.